All of us, I'm sure, have entrenched in our memories the tragic and devastating pictures that we saw from New Orleans. And I would venture to say that probably many people in America still believes that that's what New Orleans looks like today. But there was New Orleans being shown on national television to millions and millions of viewers in all of its historical splendor. And the message that comes across from that is very clear to me. Come visit us. New Orleans is open for business. We are still one of America's greatest cities. What is the value of something like that to a city? I would submit to you that you can't possibly measure the value of something like that. As the commercial would say, that is something that is, I believe, priceless. And even in our own case, I mean, I'm sure that many of us love when we watch a Heat game on television or a Dolphin game or a University of Miami game, and we see in national network how they show our skyline and they show the beauty that we all live with every day here in Miami. That's immeasurable in terms of value. But now, let me also bring it home. Let's talk about Little Havana. First of all, I commend all of you for the work that you continually do to revitalize the neighborhoods that you represent. But, Mr. Chairman, I believe that today it is Little Havana's turn. This is the neighborhood that I grew up in. I know the neighborhood that you grew up in, the neighborhood that others grew up in. Hundreds of thousands of people in our city and in our South Florida area have grown up in this neighborhood and it has represented the first step for so many on the way to the American dream. Freedom, opportunity for so many people. And that is a tradition that continues today as many more immigrants continue to come through our shores. If Miami, if South Florida really is the entry point, the gateway into America, the Ellis Island of this century, then clearly Little Havana is the front door to all of that. This site is a 40-acre site. It has sat for years, idle, but for 6 days a year for University of Miami Hurricane games. I will submit to you that it is impossible to revitalize a neighborhood when you have 40 acres sitting idle for all of this time. I will also submit to you that having a baseball stadium with 81 games, coupled with potentially a soccer stadium, restaurants, retail, shops, and a hotel is clearly what we need for Little Havana. This deal will do a lot for Little Havana. It will do similar to what Midtown did for Wynwood and the surrounding neighborhoods, bringing economic vitality and jobs to an area that sorely needs it, and creating a real destination in that neighborhood. And also on a personal note, to me, baseball is about family. It continues to be America's favorite family entertainment because compared to other entertainment and sports venues, it continues to be affordable for families. During the briefings, I was moved by a story that Commissioner Sarnoff shared with me, recounting how one of his fondest memories with his father was when he was dragging him in by the arm into Shea Stadium to see his first ever Mets game. He hasn't forgotten that memory, and he will never forget that memory. And when he told me that, it reminded me of an afternoon in 1997 when I was lucky enough to take my dad and my oldest son with me to see a World Series game. I haven't forgotten that day, and I never will forget that day. All of you will have that same opportunity. You have children, you have family, you have grandchildren who live in this city or who will live in this city. And all of you will take, along with millions of others, will have that opportunity to share those memories with your loved ones. Let's not deprive them of this opportunity. Let's not deprive the millions of families in this community who will be sharing those memories in the years to come. As I said earlier, I've stood before you 4 previous times. I will remind you that each time this commission has voted unanimously in support of baseball in Miami. So I ask you today, for all of Miami-Dade County, for all the city of Miami, for all the people of Little Havana, for the millions of families that live and call Miami home today or will call it so in the future, for all of our own individual families, their children and grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren. For the memory of my father, I ask you again to unanimously support the deal in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Alvarez, you're recognized for the record. Congratulations on your county address yesterday.
Thank you very much,
Went very well.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Diaz, Commission members, Mr. Manager. Thank you for allowing me to address you today. I'd also like to thank all the folks that Mayor Diaz thanked, because it truly has been a team effort for a long time. Before you is a baseball stadium agreement that is the result of intense and thoughtful negotiations between Miami-Dade County, the City of Miami, and the Marlins. A lot of hard work and a lot of late nights went into putting this deal together. I can tell you it also involves a lot of compromise. Compromise from all parties involved. The question is often asked, why should government be involved in the building of stadiums? And it's a fair public policy debate. The way I see it, we're not building a stadium for the Marlins. We are building a stadium for Miami-Dade County residents. We are going to own that stadium. Just like museums, parks, and beaches, professional sports are an important part of our community fabric. A stadium will not only contribute to our economy, but to our quality of life. From children to tourists, professional sports bring people together from all walks of life. This agreement comes at a time when the economy and private construction industry are slowing, as we all know. A project of this size and magnitude creates jobs, good paying jobs, where our community needs them the most. The deal includes safeguards which protects the public's interests. Tourist bed tax dollars are financing this deal. Money earmarked specifically for projects like stadiums. These funds cannot be used for education, crime prevention, or social services. You hear that all the time. It's a misconception. We cannot use these funds for anything else but what we're using them for. Baseball will remain affordable for families. There will be 81,000 seats a season available for about $15 each. Another 5,000 seats will be given to local youth charities each season. The Marlins' contribution of $155 million is consistent with amounts put up by other teams involved in public stadium financing deals, such as the Minnesota Twins and the Washington Nationals. And the Florida Marlins will change their name to the Miami Marlins. Like the mayor said, that's publicity you can't put a price tag on. It's a global public relations coup for us every time that name is mentioned, such as the Miami Heat, the Miami Dolphins, and so on and so forth. I am convinced that with your approval and that of our county commission, this public-private partnership is one that we can all put in the win column. As poet Walt Whitman said, I see great things in baseball. I am convinced that great things in baseball for Miami-Dade County can start right here in this room today. Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you before today.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Major League Baseball, Mr. DePay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mayor, Mr. Manager. I am Bob DePay, the President of Major League Baseball. I greatly appreciate you affording me the opportunity to speak to you this morning briefly in support of the fairly and long negotiated BSA. I appreciate the very kind and generous words of the mayor, but I had a reason for my involvement. Major League Baseball has been and is committed to Major League Baseball in South Florida. We believe in South Florida as a major league market. We recognize that the decisions as to how to spend public funds are very difficult decisions. We recognize that each community has to make those decisions for itself. I myself am biased. I happen to think Major League Baseball is a very good investment for a community. And it's not just because of the economics, although it does provide economics. It provides jobs, it provides tourist dollars, it provides spending. In fact, this is not a baseball number, this is the city of New York. The All-Star game this year is going to be at Yankee Stadium, the final year of Yankee Stadium, and the estimate by the city of New York is All-Star game week will generate an additional $148.8 million.